Chris Salvador, here with a rant, real quick. I always say real quick, and then it always ends up being like part one of seven. So there is no real quick. And of course, as always, every time I'm gonna fucking do these things, for some inexplicable fucking reason, the people who live with me decide to make all the fucking noise in the world. It has been at least 30 minutes of silence, but the moment that I hit record, it's like a some kind of wireless connection to them that says make all the fucking noise in the world so that I don't post the video. I did some. It doesn't matter what I did. Let me talk about the topic. Uh, the topic I want to talk about is sequels. That they said there are going to be less sequels in 2008. That there's probably 16, about 16 being produced, less than there's usually about 20 or 30, 25, 30. And I say that this is, people say, is this a good thing? Are they running out of sequels? Can they not do? And I think, I think a lot of it has to do with Hollywood. I really think that Hollywood has only one more place to dig. It's kind of like There Will Be Blood, which I'll be putting in review. They're kind of down in the well, digging and digging, looking to get a strike of some gold. And I think that we've seen it already all. Like, there's really nothing that hasn't been sequeled or prequeled or remaked or like the only untapped market for sequels and franchises and everything is no longer comics or any play. Like, it's video games. Video games are the last refuge that could be kind of taken over. The problem is that they haven't had a hit with video games. They haven't had their X-Men and they haven't had their Spider-Man. They haven't had their hit yet with a video game because they've hired some really shitty directors to pen some of these. I mean, you think a movie like they're making a Street Fighter movie, like it's sad that video game movies are like cheap, straight to DVD, and people don't realize that I can't imagine how something like Final Fantasy, a franchise, or even The Legend of Zelda, Star Fox, like I can't imagine how these titles can't get people as excited as Transformers was, as excited as like people wanting to see really great movies made out of these video games. And I think it just has to do, like I said, it's just like Halo is one of these movies that you really know, like there's no way you can't make a great movie out of Halo. I mean, it's just the problem. I think a lot of these, I mean, you just take all video games that ever existed since, Super Nintendo, and you've got a movie. And I always say that, I always make a joke about Shia LaBeouf that pretty soon he'll be in Tetris the Movie. And I don't know if I said this before, but I always said that as fucked up as it is, you could make Tetris the movie where people are just the same way Transformers, when Bumblebee and Optimus Prime came on, people will be in the audience going, there's the fucking Z and the space T. And I always say, like, you could totally make a story out of Tetris the movie. All you gotta do, you put Shia LaBeouf and you call him Sam Windhart. Sam Windhart was a normal kid until he realized he could control weather. Aliens were coming from another planet to drop their storage crates on the city of New York, and only Sam Windhart can use the powers of the wind. Dun, 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 dun. You have Shia LaBeouf. Oh my God! Oh crap! What's going on? I didn't know that I can stop the crates from falling. And then you have Ian McKellen for no reason come down. There's a flaw in the alien system. If you stack them correctly, they will teleport back to the planet Grenobulax. Dun, 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 dun. Shia LaBeouf. Tetris the movie. And that'd be awesome. Like you could totally make that shit into a movie. And they probably most likely will. But the funny thing is like I said, video games are Tetris the movie. If you could make, I just gave you Tetris the movie, so you can make anything. And I don't know. I guess the most anticipated video game movies I want to see done right. I'd love to see Legend of Zelda done like Beowulf. I think that's because I know they're making Dragon Ball, and I think that's just wrong every step of, like, I don't know how that went from a concept to a thing now with actors. Like, I'm sorry, you don't understand. It's Dragon Ball. None you people look like any of the characters. If you can't even get the Wachowski brothers to make Dragon Ball Z, and they did it with Matrix Revolutions, where you saw Neo Smith, and that, I mean, like that is how you do Dragon Ball, but amp it. So you have to like kind of 300 stylize. I mean, we're talking about people. I mean, you can't even get. There's not a single human being in the world that could rock the hair, just the hair on Goku, Super Saiyan or otherwise. I mean, and it's so much power. You can't think of a Dragon Ball Z movie or any Dragon Ball movie in normal terms with real actors. You can only do it like Beowulf. You have to do it with, motion capture technology, or like The Incredibles. You have to realize that they're not built to be normal human beings. It would just look like the most ridiculous thing in the world. How the fuck does a person get their hair looking like that? It looks like punk and fucking people talking. But I just think like there's no way to do Dragon Ball justice without Beowulf, and I think Legend of Zelda as well would be great with Beowulf technology. That I'm kind of thinking some video games they could really they could kind of take the Robert Zemeckis approach there, and go Beowulf on it, because I think that with the 3D it really helps and immerses it, since it's already coming from a video game. I think that's the best way to make some of these big properties. But a lot of the little ones, if they're not going to U-Ball and he's fucking them up, or Bull or whatever, then I think there's a lot of also, like, I remember there was a game, Blue Stinger for Dreamcast. Siphon Filter would make a great, I mean, if you see the Bourne series, I mean, you could totally do something with Siphon Filter like that. Have a Paul Greengrass Siphon Filter. I mean, like a lot of these little small kind of titles could really make some very interesting films. And like, as always, you got the big franchises, that they've made Tomb Raider, which wasn't nowhere near as great as the Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it's the same thing, adventure. I mean, even National Treasure is probably better than the Tomb Raider franchises. So it just shows that there's a lot of video games that you can make, and there will be so many that, I mean, you could make Crazy Taxi, the movie. You could do a lot of them. So, it's best, I think it's best to get really passionate people who want to make the movies, like Zack Snyder with 300, like getting really good directors and really good crew to work on it, because I think probably the only good one that I recall seeing was Silent Hill. I think Silent Hill is probably one of the best adaptations of a video game, but it wasn't as successful, and I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that nobody understood, like, why is everything, I don't understand, like, but it was the most, that was probably the best way to that gave hope. Like, I think Silent Hill, it was kind of like the Blade of video game. Like, it gave hope that, like, okay, you can get really talented people to work on this, but it wasn't, the subject material didn't scare people because it looked too beautiful to kind of be scary. It was just too weird, and it was like, it didn't go full on David Lynch crazy, so you were just kind of left going, But I think that there's a lot of other video game possibilities, and I think that's it. That's the next thing, is video games. After video games, then you're pretty much screwed. I mean, then Hollywood's run out, and they're like, okay, now we actually have to read scripts again, and we have to, start from zero. So, I just think, like I said, it's good that there's less sequels. It's good, but I think also television, it seems things are going to go more towards things like Lost and Alias, shows like that. Like, I think TV, because it's coming to the internet, kind of episodic things like Heroes and stuff, I think that there's a lot of promise in those things as well. And it's just because it's just like a movie. That is like the best way to not make sequels and make enough of this to go, well, we just make an episode. So we do, about 21 episodes of this thing, and that way it's not movies. So you're not sitting there watching movies, you're sitting there watching episodes. So those are my thoughts, and I'll get back with it. There will be blah blah blah, there will be blah blah review.